Hello everyone, I am Neha. In the last video, we discussed all the legal terms appearing in the CLAT papers since 2008. In the next few videos, I will be discussing with you the law of contracts, and together we will complete the entire syllabus which you will be needing for appearing in your CLAT exams. So let's begin with some questions. Do you watch movies? Do you take cab services such as Ola and Uber? Or do you click the I agree box which appears on various websites for surfing the internet? If yes, all of you are entering into contracts. When we think of contracts, we picture situations like this. But not only these situations are contracts, but the earlier questions we discussed are also contracts. So what we understand is that contracts are not only written like business contracts, but also oral. For instance, can I hire your cab to go to a certain place? So there are two different types of contracts. One is the express contract, which is written or oral. The second is implied contract, which is implied by the conduct of the parties. For example, let me give you an example of implied contract. For example, you are on board a flight and suddenly there is a medical emergency. It seems like you are having a heart attack. There is a doctor on board who helps you with the crisis. Later on, the doctor sends a medical bill. Are you obligated to pay for the same? Yes, you are, because you availed the services of the doctor. This type of a contract is an implied contract. There is no pre-understanding between the parties, but the parties through their conduct are entering into a contract. Now, in this video, I will be discussing some of the very basic and important concepts of the law of contracts. So let's begin. Let us start with an example. For instance, a husband and wife enter into an agreement wherein the husband promises to cook on Mondays, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Later on, like most husbands do, he refuses to cook. Can the wife take him to a court of law? I think most of you already know the answer. It does not seem right for the wife to take the husband to the court. You are right. The wife cannot. But why not? Because in the law of contracts, there is a principle which provides that any agreement which does not have a legal intention is not enforceable. All social agreements are protected by this principle. For instance, if your father promises that if you top the CLAT exams, I will gift you a bike, and you do top the CLAT exams, but your father refuses to gift you the bike, can you take him to a court? Too bad, you cannot take your father to the court. This principle was enunciated in the landmark case of Balfour versus Balfour. In this case, an agreement between the husband and wife was in question. The husband promised to pay a certain amount of money to the wife, but later on did not send the money. The wife filed the case demanding a recovery of the money from the husband. The court dismissed this case on the ground that the agreement entered into between the husband and wife was not a contract. It was only a moral obligation, and the parties never intended to create a legally binding contract. This shows that all social agreements, moral agreements are protected by this principle, and they are not legally binding contracts in the eyes of the law. Now, moving on to another example. For example, a 7-year-old kid comes to you and asks you for a loan of rupees 10. You loan the money to him, but the kid later refuses to give your money back to you. Can you take the kid to the court? I think again, most of you know the answer. It does not seem right to take the kid to the court. You cannot. But why not? Because in contract, there is a principle which provides a minor's contract is void ab initio. Here we need to understand the meaning of two terms. First is minor and second is void ab initio. In India, minor is defined in section 3 of the Indian Majority Act 1875. It provides that Any person who has not completed the age of 18 years is a minor. Now, coming to the term void ab initio. Void ab initio means void or non-existent from the very beginning. Now, to understand this concept better, let me give you another example. Let us assume that a 15-year-old kid comes to you and asks you for a loan of rupees 2000. Here, this kid represents or says to you that he is of age, that he is, let's say, 19 years old. And assuming that he is a major, you loan the money to him. In this case, again, the kid refuses to return your money to you. Now, can you take him to a court? This seems like a bit uncertain, and you may think, yes, you have a case and you can file a case against him. But no, the principle that minor's contract is void ab initio is absolute. Even if the minor represents that he is a major, and relying on the representation, you enter into a contract with a minor, even then the contract would be void ab initio. This principle was enunciated in the landmark case of Mohri Bibi versus Durmodas Goze. In this case, it was held that an agreement or a contract with a minor is void ab initio or void from the very beginning. In this case, a minor had borrowed some money from a money lender by mortgaging his house. The money lender moved to take possession of the minor's house when he defaulted payment. The court, however, said, since an agreement with minor parties is void, the money lender could not enforce this contract. But the principle that minor's contract is void ab initio does have some exceptions. For instance, when the minor has completed his part of the obligation. Let's say, for example, you engage a minor to wash your car for rupees 500 a month. The minor washes your car for the whole month, and later on you refuse to pay him the money, stating that a minor's contract is void ab initio, so you are not obligated to pay the money. In this case, the court will enforce this contract and the court will ask you to pay rupees 500. Why? Because the minor has completed his part of the obligation. Next is necessaries. Section 68 of the Indian Contract Act provides that if somebody supplies necessaries to a minor, then he is entitled to be reimbursed from the minor's estate. Now here we need to keep in mind two essential things. First is that the necessaries supplied should be reasonably important for life, and second, the minor should not already have a sufficient supply of these things. What does all this mean? What is necessary? Necessaries will include things such as food, clothing or lodging, or roti, kapda or makan. So anything you supply to a minor which is a necessary in life will be an exception. Let me give you an example. In one case, it was held that money supplied to a minor for conducting funeral expenses of his father can be amounted to a necessity, and later on the court can ask the minor to reimburse the said amount of money to the donor. Similarly, a contract which is for the benefit of the minor can be enforced by the court. For instance, partnership. A minor cannot become a partner in a partnership firm, but he can become the beneficiary of one. Can you guess who else cannot enter into a contract? A person of unsound mind or a lunatic. What the law says is that a person of unsound mind is one who cannot form a rational judgment of the effect of the contract on him. The law also treats a drunken person similar to a person of unsound mind. Now here there is a slight twist. What the law provides is that if there is a person of unsound mind, but there are certain intervals of time at which he is a person of sound mind, in those intervals he can enter into a contract. And vice versa, if a person is of sound mind, but there are intervals when he is of unsound mind, at those intervals if he enters into a contract, that contract would be void. Other persons who cannot enter into a contract are alien enemies, insolvents, and convicts. In this video, we discussed what are the types of contracts which are not enforceable in the eyes of law. Who are the persons who cannot enter into a contract? This brings us to the question, who are the persons who can enter into a contract? What is a valid contract in the eyes of law? This is what we'll be discussing in our next video. Till then, stay safe, stay calm, and keep learning.